There's a lot to discuss. Joining us in the studio, Rashid Al-Mohanadi. He is the Vice President at the Center for International Policy Research. You're a security and defense analyst. Rashid, it's good to have you in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
With us also from Tehran is Foad Izadi, professor at the University of Tehran, joining us from Iran's capital. Foad, Iran is currently under a deadline and a threat. There's a threat associated to the deadline that Donald Trump has set. And the U.S. president has said, reopen the Strait of Hormuz or make a peace deal. I will stress that there's an or in that message by the U.S. president. Reopen the Strait of Hormuz or make a peace deal within 48 hours. That ends tomorrow night, our time. Or he is threatening once again to very heavily bomb Iran's critical infrastructure, and that includes power plants. Do you see Iran possibly making, if not concessions, making a gesture towards the U.S. president with respect to this deadline?
You know, we had a peace deal in 2015. It was Trump that left that deal in 2018. And we had another potential deal just before the war, according to the Omani foreign minister. It was available within 24 hours. And he ignored that deal. We had Jake Sullivan, the former national security advisor, saying that Kushner and Witkoff didn't understand all the offers that Iran was presenting. Iran was making serious concessions to the other side. And according to Jake Sullivan, they didn't understand what Iran was saying because, you know, Witkoff was a real estate developer, and Kushner, he's a husband. I don't know if he has a lot of businesses, but these issues are not part of their expertise. And what Trump is asking Iran is surrender, complete surrender. He's asking for capitulation. He is saying that Iran should limit its ballistic missiles. You know, if Iran accepts that, then Iran wouldn't be able to hit Tel Aviv and Haifa. And then whatever limitation you accept, you need to verify. So you need to have American troops coming inside Iran, going to all missile factories and measuring the missiles to make sure that the limitation that Iran is accepted is not over that limitation.
Fuad, if you'll allow me, it sounds like you're answering no to my question, because my question is, do you see Iran making any kind of gesture, right, acknowledging this threat and this deadline by the U.S. president? And I'm listening, you know, patiently to what you're saying. It sounds like you're saying no, Iran will not move.
I'm saying yes to a deal, but a real deal. But if the other side wants to have this type of maximalist positions, then you don't call that a deal in English. You call that surrender, and Iran is not interested in surrender. Iran is interested in a deal. Iran has been interested in a deal for many years.
All right, let's bring in Rashid then. You're a security and defense analyst. You look at the region, especially Gulf countries. They are in a very tight spot here because what can they do? They are suffering from this war that they tried to avoid. And now we're under this deadline, under this threat, and there's a counter threat from Iran saying, well, if our power plants are hit, we will hit yours. And yours means not U.S. power plants, it means Gulf power plants. What can the Gulf do?
Well, Iran is already hitting our civilian infrastructure. Correct. They haven't stopped.
But they're threatening to escalate.
Well, you know, we have three things to look at. First is Trump's position. I think, and I disagree with Dr. Fuad respectfully, I think what Trump is offering is an off-ramp. He says, open the strait, and then we can move into potential de-escalation.
But that's Iran's entire leverage. If they open
that's their only leverage. That's their only leverage.
Right. So if they open, by the way, when we say open, close, just to be clear, Iran says it is open to some countries, and it has allowed some tankers through. But so we can finesse that notion. But the point is, if Iran allows all tankers to go through, they lose their leverage.
Yeah, but it's their only golden goose. The other tools have been disseminated. Their military capabilities have become weaker. They're throwing less missiles at targets. They're focusing on Israel and some Gulf states, especially Kuwait and the UAE. They've reduced their focus on different states. I don't think they have the capability of inflicting even more damage. Iran has always started by targeting civilian infrastructure. 65% of attacks on Qatar have been on civilian infrastructure. And it's important to remind everybody, the first attack on an energy facility was not in Iran. It was here in Qatar on the 3rd of March. Iranian drones targeted Ras Laffan. Even before the Israelis attacked the fuel depots inside Tehran, and also before the Israelis attacked South Pars.
The Gulf decided to shut down its entire LNG production.
Of course, after the 3rd of March, not after the ballistic missile attack on the 18th.
Yeah.
It's important to remind everybody, Gulf states have done what they could to avoid this war and not be, brought into this war. The US decided to do it nevertheless. The Iranians decided to turn the Gulf into a front. As of Gulf defensive capabilities, I think it showed that what shows now is Gulf defensive capabilities are very potent. They're very capable. 90% plus of attacks have been thwarted. When you're defending, and when it comes to air defense, you cannot stop 100% of the attacks.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, because if we look at what just happened in Kuwait in the last few hours, oil has been hit, desalination plants, those are critical, have been hit. Can Gulf countries, Kuwait is a Gulf country, can Gulf countries, if Iran steps up its attacks on those targets, defend them?
But this is the point. I don't think Iran has the ability to step up what it's already doing. It's already attacking civilian targets. Yesterday...
So you don't believe in a threat of escalation?
Well, I do believe in a threat of escalation from the US side. From the Iranian side, they've lost air dominance. They've shot down a F-15, allegedly, and were unable to locate the two pilots, and in 48 hours, the US were able to rescue these pilots. It shows a lack of capability. So I don't think Iran has the capacity to escalate. They do have the capacity to cause damage by targeting softer targets, less defended targets. Because, realistically, you cannot defend everything. Gulf states defend civilian, locations first, and then military locations, and then critical infrastructure. It goes that way. So that's why when you attack critical infrastructure, because most of the defenses are towards protecting people and then protecting military capabilities, a lot of these attacks go through. What I see happening is that Gulf states are adapting. We see in Qatar, for example, almost 100% of drone attacks have been intercepted in the last 2 to 3 weeks, which shows operational learning and capability development. I think Kuwait is going through the same curve, and hopefully soon, they'll have the ability to stop these attacks, especially when it comes to drones and low-flying cruise missiles. These are the two capabilities that are causing most of the worry.
Let's bring Foad back in. Foad, as we said at the start of this conversation, Iran is under a direct threat by the president, right? What the U.S. president does in 24 hours is anyone's guess. We don't really know. But if the Americans do strike in a significant way Iran's power plants, do you see that changing the outlook for Iran?
I think the whole region will go dark. If Iran goes dark, if they hit power, but they have already hit power plants plenty. But if they escalate, Trump is saying that he wants to turn Iran send it back to the Stone Age. And if Iran is experiencing a Stone Age, the whole region will experience a Stone Age. This is called an eye for an eye. I'm glad that our brother in your studio is a defense expert. The Secretary of War says that they have done 9,000 sorties. Can a country do 9,000 sorties out of an aircraft carrier that's 2,000 miles away? The answer is no. They have used the territories of our neighboring countries to attack Iran. Attacking a country is against international law without a UN resolution. Defending under Article 51 is Iran's right. And helping a country to attack a neighboring country, that's also illegal. So the best way for Trump to find an off-ramp is to declare victory. He can declare victory today, he has that ability. And then go and take over Greenland or Canada or do other mischief. But if he does to Iran what he's talking about, he's not scaring anyone here. At the end of the day, he has to pay for all these damages, or his friends have to pay for all these damages. And Iran will respond. Iran has no other choice.
Rashid, your thoughts?
Well, the sorties came out of 2 aircraft carriers, which can deliver significant amount of sorties, but also...
So one of them is gone, by the way.
Oh, another one's coming back.
Yeah.
But so 9,000 in a month. But also there were aircrafts flying out of Israel and out of Jordan. The Gulf states made it clear that their lands, seas, and air will not be used to attack Iran. Until today, Iran has not presented credible evidence for that. If the Gulf wanted, the Gulf could have opened its air and there would be even more significant damage towards Iran. The Gulf has shown strategic restraint, its ability to thwart Iranian attacks, even though it was aggressive. Just here in Qatar, 200 plus ballistic missiles fired at Qatar, the country that was mediating, the country that was trying to stop this war. Oman was attacked multiple times. Oman's civilian infrastructure was attacked multiple times. So, and you know, I don't accept the strategy, but I know the strategy of the IRGC is to cause as much damage as possible to pressure everybody to stop the war. This is their strategy. It's not working. And, you know, the Gulf states are still showing restraint. The Gulf states are still welcoming a diplomatic solution. And like I said, I think Trump is offering off-ramps. If we go and read every Truth Social post, you know, verbatim, literally, we will go nowhere. And that's my, you know, recommendation to the brothers in Iran. Look at the big picture. Don't focus on semantics.
We're going to have to leave it here for now, but your message is well taken. Perhaps look at what's happening rather than the words that are being said. I think that's probably true on both sides. Rashid Al-Mohanadi, Foad Izadi in Tehran, thank you very much to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.